Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special interview with Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden. She's the former Gender Minister for the Republic of Sierra Leone. She's going to be coming on shortly. But before we have Dr. Blyden, I have Mr. Julius T. Jensen. He's the host of the Hour of Information or the Information Hour, and also our West African correspondent, Mr. Edward Amara. We'll be talking shortly about Dr. Blyden before she comes in. So let me start with Mr. Julius Jensen, who at one point, a Liberian who was in Sierra Leone at one point and met Dr. Blyden. So, Julius, what do you know about Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden?
Well, I've been following the doc prior to being ESA in Sierra Leone in 2020. 2018, I follow and cover very well the election of Sierra Leone that brought President Anders Backerman to power. By such time, I was not a familiar person with the name Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden. Right after the election that brought President Martha Bill to power, I've been consistently and progressively following the geopolitical sociology of Sierra Leone. And Dr. Blyden was one of the staunch critics of the government and a media person. She owns the Wednesday newspaper in Sierra Leone. So, especially so when she came into controversy with the government in May, I think somewhere around May of 2020, when she was arrested by the Bill administration charged for seditious libel. That was in 2020, was incarcerated. That's how I began. While I was in Liberia as a media practitioner, writing for the private newspaper, started to follow her and began to some extent, advocate for her release. So while I was in the process of advocating for her release, urging the government that in the exercise of freedom of speech, I think Madam Blyden should be released. So there where I started at that time, she was not a person that I personally know, right? She was not a person at all that I personally know. So she did not know me at the time. So when she came from jail, at one occasion she reached out to me in my inbox and said, "Julius, thank you for all what you have done for me. I'd like to appreciate you." So myself too, when I fell into a hand with my government as a media practitioner, that I moved into Sierra Leone, and I mean, she showed me some hospitality. But Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden,
Thank you, Julius. For people joining us now, we're going to be having Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden. She's the former Gender Minister of Sierra Leone. She's going to be here as our guest. So before that, Julius know her personally. And so let me go to Edward Amara, who is our West African Sierra Leone correspondent based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, to tell us who is Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden. Edward.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Ja. The name Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Walimina Ureshola Blyden is a household name into Sierra Leone. She's very popular in the first place. She's a journalist, a newspaper publisher, a political commentator, former minister, and an active women advocate. As I rightly stated, she's well known into Sierra Leone because of a lot of controversies. In the first place, I came to know her through her carefully written newspapers. She is the actual editor in charge of the Awareness Time newspaper and is one of the most popular newspapers into Sierra Leone. widely sold across the country. So I started reading about her for quite a long time. She's a medical doctor also. She's a politician, former gender minister, a stern critic of the LCPP government that we are not seeing. As Julius rightly stated, at one point in time, she was arrested into Sierra Leone, being that she popularly moved to petition maybe the BU-led government by claiming that he never won the election. But that could not on that basic, rather she was being indicted and arrested and sent sometime behind detention on claims that she's making a seditious libel. We all know libel is a carefully written statement about somebody's personality that you may end up inciting people, and sedition could be something like trying to wrongly send information either on social media or whatsoever. So in short, that is I think she was born in 1971. She's a Creole by tribe and a Fritonian, but she's widely known across the country. I hear from Kailaun, she has even visited the Nong and Crown of Sierra Leone, especially like in Kwenu. So it is widely known.
Thank you so much. And another thing, Julia, that she has roots in Liberia. In fact,
yeah,
so talk about those Liberian roots to talk about her Liberian roots.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Sylvia Olayinka Blyden is a great-granddaughter of our own Edward Wilmot Blyden. We all know Edward Wilmot Blyden was a Liberian diplomat, a Pan-Africanist, one of the president of the Liberia College, that is now the University of Liberia, who out of his frustration in the Liberian society after being defeated against Hillary Richard Red Johnson when he contested the presidency, Edward Wilmot Blyden, and how he moved into Sierra Leone and entered the educational system. He started to teach in the educational system of Sierra Leone, how he came in contact with another Webb Annan asking, and he began to bear children with her in Sierra Leone, how Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden became one of the descendants of our own Edward Wilmot Blyden. But also it is important for us not to forget that she has a root deeply rooted in Liberia. She's a great-granddaughter of Jean Springs P, who the second Liberian airport was also named in honor of. Yeah, so she had a lot of root in Liberia. And you know, so one of the things, if you look at Blyden, being a Pan-Africaner, he was also a newspaper editor, the Negro newspaper also. He was a publisher. Then the Liberian Herald newspaper, the first newspaper in Liberia, Professor Dr. Blyden was also one of the editor of that newspaper. So it is not strange to see his descendant, Sylvia Blyden, is also the owner, like Amara said before. She's a owner and the managing publisher of the Awareness Town newspaper that was established in 2005. Right? She's a very good writer, a prolific writer of medical data on the African continent. She's one of the best RCT consultants I can recall in the early 2000s while she was based in the US. The former president of Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, hired her service and she worked in the office of Yahya Jammeh as a communication person, as a consultant, communication person. And not only that, she also worked and did a lot of work in Nigeria with Sonny Abacha. When Sonny Abacha was in Nigeria, she was also hired and she worked along with him. She's a very good prolific writer. So I mean, the writing skill, Blyden, our own Blyden wrote several other books, Christianity, Islam, and the Negro race was also written by him. So when you see his great-granddaughter taking that same path, it is not by coincidence.
Thank you.
They are actually gifted. She's a gifted person from the family.
Thank you. Edward, Dr. Sylvia Blyden has been in government. In fact, she was the Minister of Gender also special assistant to the former president EBK. Tell me about her political career. How is she been doing politically in Sierra Leone, the job she has held, and what is her scorecard?
Oh, thank you very much. I think she came into limelight through her writings, and being that she was also another stern critic, she reverted. I can say sometimes she's objective, depending on how you watch at it. Sometimes she's subjective, because we all understand the African political system, especially when it comes to presidential system of government, where if you are appointed by the president, you ought to be answerable to him, maybe listen and obey him instead of the constitution. That could be one. But in the nutshell, I think that when she became first the special executive assistant to Hechi, the former president of Sierra Leone, she performed excellently well. I think it was based on that performance she was given the role of gender and children affairs into Sierra Leone. And when we watch at Sierra Leone is one of the third world countries into the world, and at the same time, just after the civil war into Sierra Leone that ended in 2002, we realized that there are a lot of gender violence into Sierra Leone, human rights violation when it comes to teenage pregnancy or whatsoever. And the ministry that is actually headed was a very key one, and this is type of ministry that normally have cases into Sierra Leone when it comes to women affairs and violation. So she was able actually to handle this ministry family, and she had a lot of grand successes, because I could vividly remember her visiting places like Kailan, going as far as the east, the dead east of Kailan district, or sharing the border between Liberia and Sierra Leone, and also with Guinea, that is Quen. She made some establishment over there and made women feel as if they already have their own. On the time of in her political achievement, she's actually a fearless person, outspoken. She has never failed to even criticize the government that she was actually under. No wonder she couldn't be one of the ministers that actually saw the exist of the Ernest Bai Koroma regime. In other words, she fell out with him because maybe of her criticism and one or two ways. So you can understand that because she's a media personnel, a journalist by profession, there are certain things she can compromise, and those she can't compromise, if you speak them out, you fall out with your overlord. And when the now government of that having Julius Maada Bio was elected in 2018, she also moved to be one of the bone or the thorn in the neck of Bio's led government, and she has been a firm critic of it. And we all know that she also have an ambition to run for the presidential position, maybe come 2023 into Sierra Leone. And she's one of the few females that you can mention into Sierra Leone to challenge the male, because this is a kind of patriarchy society where we have male are dominant, and she's seen as one of the female who can challenge the male system of government, because she's highly educated and she's a prolific writer, she's a journalist, a medical doctor, a political commentator, former minister of gender affairs, a woman advocate. So in short, she's widely known and she has been fearless, and the name is very popular among Sierra Leoneans.
Thank you. And Amara, before I let you go, go ahead, Julius, or 30 seconds.
Yeah, there's something I wanted to say about her while I was in Sierra Leone that I watched about her that is very unique. You know, in the Liberian political system and the legal system, we are represented by a lawyer. If, for example, if Julius is accused or Dennis is accused and he's taken to court, Julius or Dennis will hire a lawyer. But I can recall while I was in Liberia, when the government set up the Commission of Inquiry to be able to investigate past government officials in terms of financial malfeasances committed while they were serving various ministries and agencies. All the various ministers were heavily represented by lawyers. At that time, I can recall Dr. Sylvia Blyden was in the USA, and she flew from the USA, came to Sierra Leone. While other people were hiring lawyers, she refused. I don't know as to whether under the British legal system, I mean, an individual can represent his or herself. She went to the court in front of the Commission of Inquiry, in front of legal luminaries and lawyers, and represented herself.
Wow.
Out to the challenge and made her case. And at the end of the day, she came up victorious without the Commission of Inquiry indicting her for any malfeasance for the various positions she served as special executive assistant in the office of President Anders Backruma and Minister of Gender that he served, I think, for close to a year. And also, while I was also in Freetown, I can recall one time she invited me. She said, "Julius, I want you to accompany me tomorrow to the Supreme Court, the Hallowed Chamber of the Supreme Court. I'll file a lawsuit against the elections of Julius Matabio, that the elections were being rigged for the Supreme Court to overturn the election result. So can you accompany me? I'm going to go make my argument eloquently." I said, "No problem, I will go." I expected at the time because she was the first. She was the first complainant.
Conclude on that.
Yeah, she was the first complainant along with the APC Samura Kamara, Sansuma Kamara. He also sent his representation with the BO president. BO also sent a legal luminary, all of them. But Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden did not send a lawyer to represent her. I watched her eloquently before judges of the Supreme Court and all the lawyers, legal luminaries, somebody without a law degree, making a case and challenging legal minds in the court. For me, that was a classic display of her brilliance. She has an immaculate brilliance. Yeah, I've not seen a woman of her kind on the African continent.
Thank you. And before I let you go, Edward, of late, Dr. Sylvia Blyden says something about President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in a tweet, and this was in response to a tweet. And I'm going to put that on the screen and ask you, how is that being talked about in Sierra Leone? Let me put that on the screen, and we talk about that briefly. It reads, this was in response to President Sirleaf. President Sirleaf wrote in a tweet on January 19, "Congratulations to the mayor of Freetown, who secured the Bloomberg.org $1 million Mayor's Challenge Award for her city, competing amongst more than 600 applicants. The government of Sierra Leone should see her as a national asset." Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden did not take that line down. She wrote, Ma Ellen Sirleaf needs to know many Sierra Leoneans are sickened," and she used the symbol of someone vomiting, "of your continuous interference in our local politics when it comes to our undemocratic former president EBK and the corrupt tribal bigot Freetown mayor. Please start acting like a West African heir of merit." Strong statement there for President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That's our Iron Lady. How is that tweet or that exchange being talked about in Sierra Leone?
Oh, thank you very much. I think this tweet came at a time when Sierra Leone was busy into the AFCON, and most of our concentration was actually on the African Cup of Nations. Mind you, we took an exit on Thursday when we actually lost a game to Guinea-Bissau. Nevertheless, this is a very classical tweet, and it was more or less based on that hyper level, based on administrative thing, like by her publicly lambasting Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the former president of Liberia, maybe her involvement into Sierra Leone local politics. But it was not widely circulated, since we have something else to consider, because the name Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is not too sensitive into Sierra Leone politics compared to Sylvia Olayinka Blyden. However, if she comes out publicly to criticize certain things like that, she has social media followers. When you watch her social media handle, she's followed by thousands of Sierra Leoneans, and she even a nice time newspaper when they come. Unfortunately, Sierra Leone does not have that active reading populace compared to any other African countries. We still fall on below that par. So sometimes when it comes to like when they want to gather a lot of opinion on sensitive media issues like that, what they normally do, they either do like Facebook live streaming, so you see people coming up to concentrate on certain thing like that. But it was not too much sensitive here compared to what we all due respect, Dr. Olayinka Blyden did, like publicly coming to criticize the president, the former president involvement into Sierra Leone politics by supporting Freetown City Mayor, whom she termed as a tribalistic person, and also warning her to be independent and be mindful of her words, since he's a former African president and also one of the icons on the continent. But that tweet was not actually too important to the Sierra Leone population, since it was not widely circulated and only few of us knew about it. But I think maybe programs like this will help to expose the tweet. You will start to see certain responses. But mind you, she can also indicate things like this on her awareness time newspaper, and those who are sensitive to read, they can get a grab of it, and maybe they make adequate responses.
Thank you so much. And when she come, I will ask her, because the people now that she's fighting, this were her, people in government. She worked with EBK and also the mayor. So I'm going to ask her that question. But thank you so much, Edward. Thank you, Julius. At this time, we're going to be taking leave of you. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time, and thank you for the music that you also play. I can recall that music, Amasin Bokari.
Julius, today is not, it's for Dr. Sylvia, it's not you. So, God,
I listened to that music. It was banned from playing in Sierra Leone. I think Edward Amara will ban me Wednesday. The first time I heard it was BBC. When that music was played, he was telling that the politician that the people elected yesterday better part the current one today. Thank you for the opportunity,
and
Dennis.
He even mentioned the name of Dr. Blyden in that song.
Definitely in that song, yeah. But he was just saying it's typical of most of the political people we elect in Africa. Yeah, whenever they come, they will promise and make a lot of promise that they will do different than the past leader or the current leader. But when they come there, they become even worse. That's why he was saying in that music that yesterday is better past today. Yeah, the leader that we elected yesterday seems to be better past the one that we have. That was the Anders Backroman regime he was criticizing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julius. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia again. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Our guest tonight is Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden, who is the former Minister of Gender for Sierra Leone. Dr. Blyden, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you for having me.
And we are glad to have you from neighboring Sierra Leone. This is Focus on Liberia, and being the first time, we offer you a bottle of clean water to say welcome home. This is Focus on Liberia, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you. Let me have a sip of the water.
Thank you. In West Africa, they say, he who brings cola brings life. So that's life. Water gives life. Dr. Blyden, I was talking to Julius and our West African correspondent, Edward Amara, just to get a little bit about you. But we still want to hear from you. You are the former, first you started as the female youth advocate. You've been in the limelight in Sierra Leone since you were young. In fact, many in West Africa would say you were born with a silver spoon because you came from a royal background, people of stature, or the descendant of President James Springs Payne of Liberia, and also the Pan-Africanist Edward Wilmot Blyden. You served in the government of President Ernest Bai Koroma, and also you form your own political party. A lot of things that you have done that we cannot even begin to list. But again, welcome to Focus on Liberia. You own your own newspaper, journalist, you're a medical doctor. You've done everything at such age. Welcome. Once again, let's first say a little bit more about yourself that I didn't mention that you want to talk about.
Well, I think one of the things that embarrasses me a lot when I go to programs and I get to be introduced is that they spend an enormous amount of time reading out things about me, and it never ends. So I like to avoid talking about myself and my achievements because it will take forever. What you have said is okay. I'm fine with that. I don't think I need to add anything on top.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about your Liberian connection. Liberia and Sierra Leone have so much in common. Even from our history book, I remember the people called Kono. They were the people came from the Mali area there. When they got to Sierra Leone, they said, let's wait here. Another family member said, we're going to go further. So those that decided to wait, they call them the Kono, and the ones that went further called the Vai. So we have the Vai across in both countries. We have the Mende, we have the Mandingo. In fact, I'm Ja. My last name is Ja, and we have Ja in Sierra Leone. So we have so much in common. For you, you also a descendant of Edward Wilmot Blyden and also President James Springfield. Tell me a little bit about your Liberian roots.
It's interesting. Indeed, the president, the former president in Liberia, he was elected twice, James Springfield, is actually my direct blood descendant, direct. His granddaughter is my great-great-grandmother. And his granddaughter, Anna Asking, actually came with my great-great-grandfather when he left Liberia. After he lost the presidential elections in Liberia, he came with the granddaughter of the former president of Liberia, James Springfield, and they came to settle in Sierra Leone. And their child had a child who is my grandfather.
Wow. So
I'm a direct descendant of both Edward Wilmot Blyden and former president, the late president, James Springfield. And my ties with Liberia are sacrosanct. As a matter of fact, I like teasing my Liberian friends that I need a Liberian passport because I am a Liberian as well as a Sierra Leonean. So my ties with Liberia are sacrosanct. I can't be called a Liberian citizen if I want to, because the ties are there, they're sacrosanct. I've had a great-great-great-grandfather who has been president, twice elected, of Liberia. My great-great-grandfather is easily the most famous African of the last century, Edward Wilmot Blyden. Easy, I mean, it's very easy to describe him as that, the father of Pan-Africanism. So and he has such an impact in Liberia because when he left America, he was first settled in Liberia before he came to Sierra Leone, where he also had this very great influence. So in terms of the interest for Liberia I have is right there. I'm Liberian in my own way.
Right, and we say welcome to Focus on Liberia, my fellow Liberian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and we're going to work on that passport issue.
Oh, that's good. Yes, yeah. I need my Liberian. I need to, because I can claim my Liberian citizenship.
Exactly, and you started a political party, the Young People's Party, and you even contested the election in 2022. Let's talk a little bit about your political career. I wouldn't talk about the medical side. Let's talk about your political career in Sierra Leone. Starting.
Yes, I can. Let me tell you about the whole concept of the Young People's Party. The Young People's Party was my own way of, after the war ended in Sierra Leone, we all know how brutal it was.
Yeah. I
was living in America. I had a very, very successful establishment of my own. I had a registered corporation. I owned it 100%. It was a multinational. I had a branch in London. I had a branch in Abuja. I had money. I was doing well. But I saw what had happened with the war in Sierra Leone. And one of the people who were mostly affected were the young people.
Yeah.
They lost their youth. They lost their youthfulness. They lost the pleasure that I had when I was growing up as a youth. And I believe that one of the ways and how they lost out was during the war, they became very powerful because they had guns.
Yeah.
And because they had guns, they could control people who were old enough to be their parents, old enough to be their grandparents. And they could just go out there and tell older people, sit down on the floor, walk this way, do this way. Because they had the gun, they had power. So after the war was declared ended in 2002, January, exactly 20 years ago, the guns were removed from them. They lost the power.
Yeah.
And for me, I got an inspiration that why don't you get these young Sierra Leoneans to know that there's another way of getting power? And instead of through the bullet, they can get power through the ballot. So that was my inspiration, and I spent tens of thousands of dollars of my own money strengthening and getting permanent registration for a political party, a brand new party, and we called it the Young People's Party. I became the national leader. I paid for lots of young people across Sierra Leone to contest for parliament. I started sponsoring the Young People's Party when I was 29 years of age. And I was in America, very successful ICT consultant, had my own ICT business, had money, 29 years of age. I started sponsoring the Young People's Party. And when it got to the time for the 2002 elections, the next year I was 30 years of age, and I financed an entire establishment of young people between the ages of 18, 21, 22, 23, 25, no more than 25 years to contest for parliament. So that was the inspiration for the Young People's Party, and it worked.
Did any of them win?
No, they didn't win.
Okay.
But just the concept, for the first time in the history of Sierra Leone, I was able to pull it off. I was able to get people all across Sierra Leone under the age of 25 to go out there, campaign, and ask people to vote for them. And though none of them won, but the mere fact that Sierra Leoneans, especially young Sierra Leoneans, could see that indeed we can get power without going through the bullet. We can get power by using political advocacy. It worked. And I believe I'm the pioneer that set the pace, that changed the entire concept of young people in politics in Sierra Leone. So that was the idea behind the Young People's Party. After the elections, after the end of the Young People's, after the general elections of 2002, my point had been made. I had taken a sabbatical from the party that I belonged to, which was the All People's Congress. At the time, I was one of the key people who were holding up the All People's Congress in the United States of America. So I had taken a sabbatical from the APC so as to lead these young people. And after the elections, the momentum I wanted was successful. So we just allowed the Young People's Party to go into abeyance, and we never used it again. I resigned from the Young People's Party. The message was out there. I had succeeded with what I wanted, and it was all systems go. So today, if we have a lot of young people in politics in Sierra Leone, I do believe a lot of the credit goes to me. I showed them that they can do it.
Thank you. And I was talking to my West African correspondent, say, Dr. Blyden,
your voice has gone down.
Really?
Your volume has gone down.
Are you using your phone or computer?
Your voice has gone down.
Right. Are you on your phone or are you using the computer?
On the phone.
Right. So,
but it's not the phone that has the problem. It's your voice that went down.
Right. Probably somebody called you on the phone. That's why I dropped the volume. Did someone call you on the phone? Say that
again?
Probably somebody called you on the phone. That's why the volume went down.
Okay, so what do you do to get the volume back up?
You have to get out and come back in. So when you come back in, put your phone on do not disturb, and nobody's going to call you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exclusive interview with Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden. She is the former gender minister of Sierra Leone. We're having some trouble there with the phone. When she comes back, we're going to be talking about her newspaper and what is driving her into politics. Of late, she has written a tweet in response to President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and we're going to discuss all about that. What motivated her to write that, and why she believes that President Sirleaf is meddling into the internal political affairs of Sierra Leone. Keep tuned. We're going to be right back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Welcome back to Focus on Liberia. We are in exclusive interview with Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden, former Gender Minister of the Republic of Sierra Leone. She is holding the government feet to the fire and also people in her own political party. Of late, she has written a tweet asking President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to stop meddling into the internal affairs of Sierra Leone. Dr. Blyden, how is it? Welcome back.
Thank you. I can hear you now very well.
All right. So if you put the phone on Do Not Disturb, anytime calls come in, it's not going to interrupt like that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I wonder how I do that. I don't think I know how to do that now. Let's just another call doesn't come in.
Yeah, let's hope that. When I talk to my West African correspondent, say you are the most recognizable voice in Sierra Leone. You are a political force to contend with. You also the founder and CEO and publisher of the Sierra Leone newspaper Awareness Time. You've been very critical of government, even people in your own party. What drives you to do all this?
Well, I think the answer would be what drives a human being who has a vision of where she wants her country to be. I have a vision of where I want my country to be. I have the courage to say what that vision is. I have the courage to articulate what a democratic society should look like. And so I guess that would be the simple answer to that. Why do I do all of this? I have a vision for my country. I have a vision for what a democratic Sierra Leone should look like. A democratic Sierra Leone where people's freedoms and rights are upheld. And most of all, I have the genetic makeup that can strengthen me to face and courageously take on some of these issues. I have the genetic makeup. So why should I not do what I have the strength to do? I have the courage to do. God has blessed me with the intelligence to be able to handle it. What should stop me from doing it? Nothing.
And nothing stopped you from going to court when President Madabio won. You were also later charged with seditious libel. Tell me about those experiences.
Indeed, I have a lot of strength as a woman, and I am aware of that because in Africa, women are normally not as strong as I am. So I'm fully aware of the fact that it's sensational seeing someone like me in action. But let me tell you why I took the current president to court. I have presidential ambitions.
Oh,
want to be president. I want to be president of Sierra Leone one day.
And let me say, you are the first person who has ever said this, that they have presidential ambition. People normally shy away from saying that. So thank you for saying that.
I have said I have presidential ambitions in this country for over 25 years now. I first said it, and I can tell you when I can actually tell you when was the first time I said I want to be president of Sierra Leone. It was in 1994. I had just made history in Sierra Leone. I had just contested against men and become elected as the first woman in the entire history of Sierra Leone to become the president of the Student Union government at the University of Sierra Leone. It was a marvelous feat. And everybody, even my parents, never thought I could pull it off. So when I was being interviewed after I had beaten, I had strong people, some of them backed by powerful men, strong men, some of them backed by powerful men. And at the end of the day, I emerged victorious as the first woman elected in the history of Sierra Leone to head the government of the students at a University of Sierra Leone college. So whilst I was being interviewed, I was covered all over BBC, the local press. And whilst I was being interviewed, I stated it that my next target, the next glass ceiling that I want to break, is the presidency of the Republic of Sierra Leone. This was in 1994.
Wow.
And since 1994, I have worked towards achieving that ambition. Now, because I have not hidden my ambitions, as you rightfully said, a lot of people do not say it. They work to become president in the shadows. I have never hidden my ambition. Everybody knows I want to be president of Sierra Leone one day. So because of that, those who also want to be president of Sierra Leone, especially some women, they fight me in the shadows. I don't mind when they fight me because I have the strength to resist when they fight. But I have always wanted to be president of Sierra Leone and have worked towards achieving my ambition. I am on track. And in the process of being on track, I have faced a lot of resistance. Because, for example, like you rightfully just said, I took the current president to the Supreme Court to challenge his elections. Because the way he was elected, the way he became president of Sierra Leone, several of the laws around elections were not followed. Several of the electoral laws of Sierra Leone were not followed. So I said to myself, if I allow this to happen, if I allow this processing, this presidential process to happen without challenging it, when it is my turn to become president of Sierra Leone, when it is my turn to want to contest, I might find myself being defeated, like happened to the candidate of our party, Dr. Samura Kamara, not so much by people voting me out, but by the electoral process playing with the numbers. So that inspired me that, you know what, even if you are not going to be able to overturn these elections, go and get the Supreme Court to make a declaration about the process by which somebody should become president of Sierra Leone. The laws that were supposed to be followed that were not followed, go to the Supreme Court and get a declaration so that this would never happen again. And that's why I went to court.
And you lost?
No, I didn't lose. They never listened. They never had the case. They refused to hear the case. What they did was they waited for 3 years, 3 good years without hearing the case. And then after 3 years, they call up the case and they say, even though the procedure by which you approach the court, and by the way, I approached the court on my own, I didn't use a lawyer. My grandfather was a brilliant lawyer and he has a lot of law books. So I was able to use his law books and I filed the case myself. I followed the precedents that other people had followed when they filed petitions at the Supreme Court against the elections. Now, all these years, for over a decade, that's the process by which the Supreme Court has been approached when you want to challenge an elections. So what do the judges do? They look at the strength of my case and they decide that we're not going to hear this case. This case, the strength of this case, we're not going to listen to it. So what did they do? They said the process that everybody has been using to approach the Supreme Court to petition elections is no longer correct. So when it came to me, it wasn't correct. But when it came to other presidents before, including the current president, he had petitioned Ernest Bai Koroma. When he contested against Ernest Bai Koroma, he lost. He followed this process to approach the Supreme Court, and they listened to him using that process. And before him, another presidential challenge had happened. They followed the same process. When it came to my case, they said, yes, we agree. The Supreme Court has been used to listening to cases that followed this process. But in your case, the process is not going to be accepted because they said in the law, the use of the word petition was used as a noun and not as a verb. So just on that basic grammatical English, they refused to hear the case. So I never lost the case. They never had the case. They refused to hear it.
Yeah, Supreme Court, they say have the right.
But my point was made. The point was made that I challenged the process by which the elections were conducted. And I believe the next presidential elections, everybody's eyes are now wide open
Right.
And they would not try that again a second time. So I made my point.
The
They didn't hear the case, but I made my point.
Thank you. And the records are there. So did we lose you again? Yes, we did. Again, this is an interview with Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden, former Gender Minister of Sierra Leone. She has been in the news lately, and this time is she has a tweet responding to former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. We're going to hear a little bit about that, but before that, we want to talk about her political career, and that's where we are. She is on social media, and let me play a little clip of one of her.
Fellow Sierra Leoneans, this is Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden, and tonight, leading up to this morning, at the release audio number 042, being at the 42nd audio in my ongoing address to the people of Sierra Leone.
All right, that was Dr. Blyden addressing the people of Sierra Leone, and that video is on YouTube. While we wait for Dr. Blyden to come, let's read some of your comments here. This one from Aliu say, what is the point? Sierra Leone are Liberians? This is not a news. I don't know what Aliu is talking about. Archimo Frederick, in the U.S., any defendant has the right to represent his or herself in the court of law. Alhaji Matia, this is Liberia and Sierra Leone connection, and Matia is in Sierra Leone. Few more comments here. Franklin Kona, where is watching? Thank you. You are back. Al Tobe say, I admire your strength, courage, and confidence and boldness. Doe Man say, what is smart African queen? Dr. Blyden, the government of President Madibio also charged you with seditious libel. Well, what happened? How did that end?
It ended up as a bogus case that it was. It was a bogus case. It had no merit. I was treated very, very badly. And they wanted to silence me. They saw me as a threat, both within my own party as well as within the government. And that should give you an indication of the type of person I am. Because to survive in such a hostile atmosphere, the government is fighting you. Within your own political party, they're fighting you. And you can survive and sustain. So it wasn't a good experience being arrested from your house for nothing. I mean, I did nothing wrong. And they kept me in detention at the police station for 22 days. And there was no one there to speak for me. All these, and that's why a lot of times I look at some people who present themselves as gender activists on the continent or gender activists in the Mano River Union, and I just dismiss them. I have contempt for them because, I mean, where were you? Seeing a strong woman, a strong African woman like me, a courageous woman like me, an outspoken, highly intelligent, brilliant woman who wants to be president of Sierra Leone, treated so horribly. Detained, charged for sedition, nonsense, bogus charges. That was eventually, I mean, they themselves just eventually got embarrassed and dropped cases. But where were all the gender activists in the Mano River Union? I have utter contempt for a lot of them. So what happened to me should never have happened to me. It happened. And some of these gender activists now coming out of to speak about gender, I have nothing but contempt for some of them.
Do you have any one of them you respect and admire?
What do you mean by respect? I'm talking about people who were aware of what happened to me.
Right.
Complete this. I mean, the type of things that was done to me could only be done to somebody who is a strong woman and not to a strong man. And that's the moment you would expect people who portray and project themselves as being gender activists in the continent and gender activists in the sub-region, in the Mano River Union, that's the time you would expect them to say, hey, the former gender minister in Sierra Leone, who has presidential ambitions, she's been bullied by the current president of Sierra Leone. We should not stand for this. Then you can have some credibility to speak about gender issues and be taken seriously. So some of those people now, they have no platform to convince me with that they can speak on gender issues. No. Some of them, I have utter contempt for some of them right now.
And we later in the show we're gonna get some names perhaps. But you were fighting the government. There's even fight within your own party. What is it? Why is this happening? Is it you who fighting everybody, or what is it about you that people want to fight you?
I think you should have the answer to the second question. Why would people want to fight me? I don't know what your viewers would be seeing watching the screen right now, but from my perspective, what they should be seeing on the screen is a formidable female political opponent. And this is a formidable political figure who a lot of people would not want to contest against them. So you fight that person. It's politics.
Yeah.
The government of the day would fight me because they see in me a formidable person who, if I throw my hat into the ring to contest against the current president, he would face a very difficult time. So he has to fight me. That's normal. That's expected.
Right.
Now, what is happening within my own party is that we have a challenge where our current leader of the party is the former president of Sierra Leone, my former boss.
Right.
And what has happened is that he is embroiled in very, very serious money laundering and criminal corruption cases. A lot of money laundering allegations with a lot of evidential materials involving some of the most well-credited banks in West Africa. He got himself messed up. He got himself really messed up when he was president. He didn't cover his tracks. So he's in trouble right now. And he's at the mercy of the current president of Sierra Leone. Our former president, Ernest Bai Koroma, has tremendous money laundering scandals with evidence that spans across continents. And the current president has the evidence on his desk. So what is happening to my party? We are unable to function. We cannot function as a democratic opposition because Ernest Bai Koroma is too scared to lead the party as the main opposition party.
Right.
So basically, he's under blackmail. And he's extended the blackmail now to the entire party. So the party cannot function. So instead of letting go, as he had promised, he actually had promised that he was going to let go when we lost the elections. He actually promised that he was going to, excuse me, I'm changing some of the lights here. He actually had promised that he was going to let go after we lost the 2018 elections. And then all of a sudden, he changes his mind. Now, I know why he changed his mind. Because that's the only way he can protect himself from prosecution that's coming his way. If he can ensure that the current president knows that for as long as he's in charge of the main opposition party, our party, for as long as he's in charge of the All People's Congress, the current government has nothing to fear. Because he's going to ensure that he doesn't lead my party as a proper opposition party. Now, I saw, by the grace of God, I was able to see the evidence of his corruption. I was able to see the evidence of his money laundering. I used to be one of his strongest loyalists until I saw that evidence. Now, when I saw the evidence and the seriousness of the money laundering, that's very, very serious. That should attract even the attention of international people at the CIA, the FBI. I went to him And I said to him, you have to let go of the party, because with this type of evidence that is in the hands of the current president, there's no way you'll be able to oppose the current president. You have to let go. Now, he has already made up his mind that he is not going to let go, because that's the only thing protecting him from prosecution.
Right.
Because if he is prosecuted according to an act that he himself enacted when he was president, if he is prosecuted for money laundering, he's going to jail for 25 years with a minimum of 7 years. And that's not even an optional jail term. It's a mandatory minimum 7 years, maximum 25 years jail term. Now, Ernest Bai Koroma doesn't want to go to jail. So he is using the APC, our party, as his shield.
Oh, yeah.
And in the process, he has stalled the party's operation. We cannot do anything. He's manipulating things so that the party doesn't function. So the only option is you have to challenge him legally. You have to take the issue to court. And even though I know that the current president, Julius Maada Bio, is enjoying what is happening,
Right.
because for as long as Ernest Bai Koroma is in charge of the APC, Julius Maada Bio is safe. He has nothing to worry about. So he's enjoying it. So you'll find out that there's a lot of manipulation where a very simple case that should have been settled within a month or two, it's not being settled, it's being delayed.
Right.
Because the more the case is delayed, the more Ernest Bai Koroma is in charge of the APC, the more the APC doesn't have any chance of being a democratic opposition. So in summary, that's the issue with me and my party, the party leadership. I have seen the evidence. I know he's involved in money laundering, and I know that if he continues with that type of criminal activities that have been found against him, and I'm saying this, I know everybody's watching, I'm saying it factually, he has very serious money laundering charges, very, very serious ones. And he's refusing to, Ernest Bai Koroma, yes. Very, very serious. He's refusing to let go because that's the only way he can protect himself from a 7 to 25 year term.
So he's holding the party hostage. And you've taken the party to court as well, right?
I tried to take the party to court, and they said they're not going to allow me to be heard because they said, well, you can imagine. I mean, this is a matter of an independent observer looking in can see what's happening. A lot of people, because they are so fond of the former president, they cannot see and figure out what he's up to. But an independent observer like you looking in, I take the case to court. This is a court that is sympathetic to the government of the day. And the court says, we don't want to hear you. Take your case away. We don't want to hear the case. And that's the reason they gave. They said, if they allow me to file those papers, it will delay the court from concluding the matter. That's the reason they gave. They said it would delay the case.
So quickly, before I move on to the next subject area, so you say the President Maada Bio is enjoying this. He's loving it because it keeps pressure away from his government. How is his government doing, by the way?
His government is doing badly in some areas and doing well in some other areas. But on an overall scale, and with my experience in politics in Sierra Leone, I don't see how he's going to win the next elections, the 2023 elections. With my experience as a political observer and a political actor myself, I don't see how he's going to win the elections and become re-elected as president, because he has made so many mistakes, many mistakes. Even arresting me, charging me to court, detaining me, that's one of the biggest mistakes he's made.
He dropped the charges. He's been very strong on corruption.
Well, if he's strong on corruption, what's happening with the Ernest Bai Koroma corruption case? If he's so strong on corruption, what's happening with the Ernest Bai Koroma corruption case? It's been over 1 year now. Why have we not had anything? If he's so strong on corruption. And now we have a new scenario where we have the mayor of Freetown, also belonging to my party, caught up in a huge web of corruption, unbelievable corruption. Corruption that we have never seen in the history of Freetown. She's caught up in that.
And you call her a tribal bigot.
Oh yeah, and that one is proven. The audio is there with her voice, where she's speaking about using a slur on a whole tribe. So there's no debate on that one.
And that leads us to our next topic, which is the tweet. Let me put that on the screen. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, that's our former president. You refer to her as the elder, the West African elder. We in Liberia know her as the Iron Lady. You are not afraid to go against her in a public tweet. And let me put that on the screen for my viewers to see. President Sirleaf wrote about the mayor. Congratulations to the mayor of Freetown, Yaki Sawyer, who secured Bloomberg.org $1 million Mayor Challenge Award for her city, competing among more than 600 applicants. The government of Sierra Leone should see her as a national asset. You did not take that line down. You wrote, Mama Ellen needs to know many Sierra Leoneans are sickened, and you use the puke emoji there of your continuous interference in our local politics when it comes to our undemocratic former president EBK and the corrupt tribal bigot Freetown mayor. Please start acting like a West African elder of merit. Strong words for the Iron Lady. What happened?
I think she deserves every single word I wrote there and possibly more. And I hope that she would get the message and back off. She has disappointed so many West African women. And let me state that today. I spoke earlier that I want to be president of Sierra Leone, that I have presidential ambitions. Now, I'm not the only one who has presidential ambitions as a woman in West Africa. There are many of us who have presidential ambitions in our different countries. Now, what Mama Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has done, she comes into our countries, she picks out those she wants, and she raises them up against the rest of us. So it's a betrayal of the admiration, the love, the adoration that we poured on her. It's a complete betrayal for her to come into our different countries, pick up those of us that she decides, she takes a decision, she decides that, oh, this one, that one, I support. And I bring them to my Amuje, this one. And she starts using the star power that she has to elevate those ones above the rest of us. It's a betrayal.
But Dr. Blyden, what's wrong with that? If she picking people...
Let me land.
Okay.
You're asking if the words are not too strong. I'm telling you why they are not too strong.
Okay.
It's a betrayal of every single one of us in West Africa and possibly Africa who have presidential ambitions. And you come into our countries, you identify a few of us. If nobody has told her today, I'm using the opportunity for her to know. You identify a few of us and you pick those ones, you elevate those ones, using your star power on them at a disadvantage to the rest of us. That's not how an elder behaves. So even though she's an elder, and even though she's an elder of merit, she has to consider the feelings of other people. You cannot come and you pick one person over the rest of the others, and you decide, I have chosen this one, I picked this one. It's wrong. That's the first part of why I think the words are not strong enough. Secondly, she has served as a head of state. She knows all the protocols. She knows all the protocols of the Mano River Union. She knows all the protocols of ECOWAS, Africa Union, United Nations. And she knows, as a former president, her voice, her words have power. And she comes, it's all well and good to congratulate your protege, because the mayor of Freetown is her protege. She's picked her up and she's elevating her. She's thinking that she can use her star power to promote the mayor over the rest of us. So fine, that's your business, do that. But here's where I have a problem. It's all well and good for me to congratulate the mayor. But where she crossed the line that caused me to do the tweet is when she's instructing the government of Sierra Leone that they should see the mayor as a national asset. And she did that at a time when the mayor is embroiled in the worst corruption that the Freetown City Council has ever seen in the over 200 years of its existence. This mayor has been caught basically with a hand in the cookie jar. And at a time when the parliament, that's our legislative arm of government, summons the mayor, when everybody knows that the mayor is going to parliament to answer to questions, audit questions, to the tune of millions of dollars, it's the time Mama Ellen Johnson Sirleaf goes on Twitter and instructs a government, a sovereign state government, that they should see this woman as not just an asset, but in her words, a national asset. That was too much.
How is that an instruction?
Read the sentence again. Read it out.
Right.
I'm sure you know English language. She didn't say may. She said,
should.
Read her exact word. Should.
The government of Liberia should see her as a national
asset. The government of Sierra Leone should. She didn't say.
That's an opinion.
No, it's not. An opinion is may. An opinion is a suggest. This is an assertive. The use of the word should in English language, should. The government of Sierra Leone should. That's a mandatory. You're mandating them that they should. You didn't say may. You didn't suggest. You didn't give an opinion. You're giving an assertion across sovereigns, across geographical borders into another country, and you are instructing them that this should. Come on, should say your congratulations, fine, but don't use your star power. You know, you have what you call subliminal messaging.
Right.
Trying to do subliminal messaging to intimidate the government, because that's what she's trying to do here. She's trying to intimidate the government to back off her protege, who has been caught trying to hide monies in a secret bank account, amongst a lot of other corrupt activities. Now the government is investigating, and you come and you say, you are aware that there's an investigation going on, and that's the time you come and tell us that she should be seen as a national asset.
So
the bias was now too much.
Is it a timing? Of
course, not a coincidence. And you know, if it was the first time, that would be okay. If it's the first time, you could wave it off. It's the first time. But it wasn't the first time. She's been persistently running interference. Whenever the mayor is caught up in trouble, she runs interference. When Ernest Bai Koroma was facing the heat at the High Court in Sierra Leone, she runs interference. She's losing the authority as a West African elder. She shouldn't be running public interference like this. She's trying to manipulate public opinion. The mayor has been caught in corruption, unprecedented corruption. Secret bank accounts opened, transferring money meant for the people of Sierra Leone into a secret bank account, calling a British white lady to be in charge of the secret bank account. So much corruption. And you come across that's a national asset, we will not take it. No.
Right. You said you first mentioned that President Sirleaf is trying to pick one over the other, right? To promote.
She's not trying to. She's already done that all over West Africa.
Right, but this is a competitive environment. Isn't she finding something in those people that she's picking to, in your words, elevate? Should everybody, qualify? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying it is her right. She's chosen a protege. I think it's a bad choice. That's my opinion. It's a bad choice. Okay. And she's using her star power. She's using her celebrity status to empower these people at a disadvantage to the rest of us who do not enjoy the celebrity status that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is imparting on these people against the rest of us who are female politicians.
But how
Now,
is that disadvantaging others?
I'm sorry?
How is that disadvantaging others? If you have 10 persons and you pick 3 to partner with, how is that a disadvantage to others that were not picked?
No, you see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying to you, that she's disappointed so many of us in West Africa. And I'm speaking for not just myself. I know a lot of others who feel the same way.
Okay.
She became the first elected female president, and then she became re-elected. We were all elated. She was our idol. We love her. We adore her. I remember, and this might interest you, I attended her 79th birthday party. She invited me to attend. And the media asked me to speak about her. The media in Liberia, they interviewed me to speak about Ellen Johnson Sirleaf at her birthday party. And I spoke about her and about how much she inspires us. Not just because she was elected, but because she got re-elected as a woman. Now she's got star power. She's very powerful. She can influence people. And you come and you take that powerful influence and you selectively apply it. I'm giving you my case, what happened to me when I was detained.
Right.
A lot of people compared what happened to me to what happened to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf at the hands of Samuel Doe. When you look at the similarities, we were charged with exactly the same thing. She was charged with the same seditious libel, sedition. I was charged with the same thing. I was charged at an age that she was the exact same age. The time she was charged by Samuel Doe was the age she had was the exact same age I also had when I was charged, 48 years of age. Ellen was 48 years of age when she was charged by Samuel Doe for seditious libel and sedition. I was 48 years of age when Julius Maada Bio charged me for seditious libel and so many similarities there. Two strong women. Now, did Ellen lift a finger? Did she say anything? Did she sympathize? She knows me very well. Did she sympathize with me? I went through a horrific experience, and a lot of people know the experience I went through. Why? Because I'm a strong, courageous African woman who can speak out. Did Ellen make any effort to reach out to me and sympathize? No, she didn't.
She didn't.
She is spending her time disadvantaging us at the expense of whatever ambitions we have, promoting other people, not sympathizing with us when we deserve sympathy from her, and elevating other people. It is unfair. And in the process, she's losing the moral standing that she deserves. I will not be here condemning her if she had not reduced herself in the way she has reduced herself.
Yeah.
For example, when I got detained, when I got molested, she knows me. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf knows me. She knows my family. Did she make any effort? Did she speak to me? Did she pick up the phone? No, because I don't fall into her agenda.
Right.
Now, if she has the ones that she has the agenda to protect these ones, fine. But let her now not cross the line to the extent of dictating to us who is a national asset. You don't care about them. You have those you care about, fine. But don't tell us now who are our national assets. That's crossing the line.
I don't know if you know here, but what do you think is the intention of President Sirleaf here? What is she trying to accomplish?
She has come into our country. She's promoting an agenda, and it's a political agenda. If it wasn't a political agenda, why would she be praising the former president against those of us who have taken the president to court? Because we took the man to court that he's been breaching our party constitution, and he's been breaching the Sierra Leone constitution. Ellen goes on social media and she starts defending him, pretending that he hasn't breached the APC constitution, actually penning down an article praising him that he has never breached his party constitution at the time the case is in court. That's political interference. She's running political interference. So her agenda It's an agenda that's political. And she's losing grounds. She's losing the moral authority she deserves because she's involving herself in our politics.
Right. And
we take our president to court. We take our former president to court because he's breaching our party constitution. And who comes on social media to defend him? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Because there's an agenda here. And she's pushing that agenda. And it's an agenda that is detrimental to those of us who are not part of that political agenda. So she has to be called on.
Right, and I really understand what you're saying, but I really can't put a finger on what that agenda would look like that will make her to side with, in your world, people that are corrupt. I mean, the former president charged with corruption is holding the party hostage. The mayor is in another corruption scandal, and President Sirleaf is defending them because of political agenda. How does that agenda look like, you think?
Well, you have only she can answer that question. But I know what the agenda is. The agenda is simple. She came to Sierra Leone, as well as to other West African countries, and she chose someone that she believes is fit to be, in fact, the person she chose, the Freetown mayor, she chose her as one of the first crop of women that she's going to empower. When she chose her, I laughed because I knew it was a bad decision. But now she's struggling to promote the bad decision. So every time her protege gets into trouble, she is right there to protect her bad decision that she made. And now, the president of Sierra Leone, who is also a part of our party, like the former, like the current mayor, they are both in alliance to ensure that those of us who are against what the former president is doing in our party, we do not succeed. Now, excuse me. Sorry. Now, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has made a bad decision, and she's fighting to sustain and give credence to her choice. Right. So even when the choice is getting into problems, she's now aligning herself with that choice and with the former president who is part of that choice to prove a point, which is fine and good. But when it gets to a point where you now cross the line from just basic support for your allies, because that's what she was doing, running interference, supporting them. But when it gets to a point where it is now so obvious that your interference is mainly to ensure you use your star power to influence things in the direction of your bad decision that you made, then we are going to call you out. Because you have not been there for us. You have disadvantaged us. You are putting advantage on someone who is a bad decision. And when the bad decision now gets into trouble, you want to continue pushing your bad decision.
Right.
We're going to call you out.
It's escalation of commitment. I get that. Oh, I listened to your interview on, I think it was Freedom FM or so. And the former minister in President Sirleaf's government, who's also your friend, called and say, why don't you call the president directly? And talk about this instead of going public and to criticize her. Have you been getting other calls like that and other advice to say, well, you don't have to discuss President Sirleaf publicly. You should call her through the Mano River Union and resolve this issue?
First of all, the Mano River Union is compromised. It's unfortunate the Secretary General who is there now, she's like an adopted daughter of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And I think she's also part of the problem. When I was the gender minister, I was one of those who actually pushed a lot for her to become the Mano River Union Secretary General.
That's Mrs. Medina Wisse.
Ambassador Medina Wisse, yes. I passionately pushed. In fact, it reached a point at the MRU meeting where it was myself, against the Guinean Minister of Planning. And I was pushing for Medina to be made the MRU Secretary General, and I succeeded. So Medina is fully much aware of who I am, and she's also aware of what I went through when I was arrested, detained, molested, humiliated, gender-based violence under the guise of investigating me for seditious libel, subjected me to the worst type of gender-based violence. Medina is aware of that. But because she's a part of the problem, she was unable to do what you would expect a female advocate, a so-called gender advocate in the Mano River Union to do. So she did nothing. She was part and parcel of the problem. Now, am I going to use someone like that who documents now against her because she's been taken to the High Court by somebody else that she's working with? She's in court in Sierra Leone, Ambassador Medina Wesse. She was sued by one of her employees. And part of the documents that leaked that I have seen, which was an email to our Minister of Development who supervises the Mano River Union, I was shocked to find out that when I was detained, when I was being molested as a woman, I was locked up on bogus charges. I was shocked to see through the documents that's the time that Medina Wesse, ambassador, called up a meeting of women in this country, in Sierra Leone. She called it a MRU breakfast meeting. Whilst I was in jail unfairly, that's the time Ambassador Medina Wesse called up a meeting, a breakfast meeting, using Mano River Union resources. And what was the agenda of the meeting?
Right.
Medina Wesse said the agenda of the meeting was to get women to support women who are in distress. At that point in time, there was no other woman who was in more distress than Sylvia Olayinka Blyden. At the point in time Medina called that breakfast meeting under the guise of the Mano River Union, there was no Sierra Leonean woman in more distress than I was at that time. And she knows this. Now I look through the documents that leak, and I go through the minutes of the so-called breakfast meeting, and everything there from the beginning to the ending, they never mentioned me a single time. Rather, the entirety of the women supporting women breakfast meeting was for the mayor of Freetown, who had a so-called Freetown property tax project. And the Mano River Union called all those women to come and support the mayor of Freetown. So there was I in distress, detained, subjected to gender-based violence of the worst kind a woman can be subjected to in detention. And there was Medina using Mano River Union resources on local Freetown politics to support the mayor of Freetown. That's unforgivable. Mm. So she's part of the problem because she's also deeply embedded in local Freetown politics. So they have this agenda, they've made this bad decision, and they're now pushing this bad decision using the Mano River Union Secretariat to promote an agenda of the Freetown mayor at the expense of the rest of us. Because when you call up a so-called breakfast meeting of women, and you tell them it is a meeting of the Mano River Union to support women in distress, and you don't mention me at all, despite the type of distress I was under. If you go look at the United States Human Rights Report for the year 2020 for Sierra Leone, they mention me more than 4 times by name as somebody who was subjected to the worst human rights abuse. If the United States State Department can cite what happened to me in such an expansive manner, and the Mano River Union cannot do that, then you can see that there's a problem somewhere. Instead, they're using Mano River Union money to promote a Freetown mayor agenda. So there you see that there's really a problem here. And everybody knows that I know that she, Ambassador Medina Wesse, is like an adopted daughter of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So you see these two Liberian women, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Medina Wesse of the Mano River Union, coming to run interference in local Freetown politics. It's no longer a gender issue. If it was a gender issue, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf would speak. She would tweet when what happened to me, the similarities of what happened to me and what happened to her, it cannot escape her attention. But she cannot do that because she has an agenda of those she wants to promote and those she wants to protect. Fine, I have no problem with that. But for God's sake, if you have decided on who and who you want to promote, who and who you want to project, do it. But don't dictate to us anymore. We cannot allow you to dictate to us. Not anymore. That's my issue.
Thank you. And do you think President Sirleaf is getting this message or has already got it? Or what has been the feedback?
I would not know. I don't work in her office. I don't stay in her house. So I would not know if she's gotten the message. All I can do is to appeal to Liberians to talk to her for me. Talk to her for us. That's all I can do. Right. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is interfering in local Freetown politics. All I can do is reach out to Liberians because obviously there's no reason for me to call her because she's drawn the line. She's shown. If she was a real West African gender activist, as she claims, she would have picked up the phone and sympathized with me when I went through what I went through in the year 2020. She never did. She doesn't care. That's fine. I won't force her to care. But if she is now going to the point of trying to dictate who and who should be called a national asset in Sierra Leone, she's crossed the line. And she needs to be told that she's crossed the line. So I'm not telling Liberians to tell her that she's crossed the line and enough is enough.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll read your comments and get your feedback from what our viewers are saying. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., we're going to have the show here. God is not a voodoo priest on the Liberian Dream, the host, Mr. Leo Nupulu Johnson. Then on Sunday at 6 p.m., Ambassador George Patton is going to be my guest. He's going to be talking about Liberia bicentennial celebration, which to the year 1822 to 2022, the landing of the pioneers. So we're going to have a bicentennial celebration, and Ambassador Patton is going to speak about that. Also on Wednesday at 7 p.m., former TRC Commissioner Mansa Emilio Washington will be my guest to talk about the TRC process and the public lives of warlords. You don't want to miss that. Again, keep it here at Focus on Liberia. Don't forget Kana Cash. If you want to send money to loved ones in Liberia, West Africa, and other part of the world, you want to use Kana Cash. Send money to Africa. It's safe, it's legal, and easy. You can call Mr. Spencer Barr. The office number is on the screen if you want ways. And to do that, to send money, you can download the apps on your Google Play Store or your Apple App Store. Okay, Dr. Blyden, you can fix your camera, right there. We are having some issue. Some trouble there.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia.
Thank you. I think you are connected twice. That's why. Right, you have to unmute. Can you hear me? There's a serious feedback there because you are connected twice. Dr. Blyden, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but there's so much echoing. There's so much.
Yes, you are connected twice.
Sorry?
You are connected to the broadcast 2 times, so you can get up and come back if you don't mind.
Okay, you want me to leave and then come back in?
Yes. All right, we're having some technical issues there. This will be solved quickly. She's coming back in. And as she comes in, we're going to be reading your comments here. Lots of comments. Edward Amara said maybe IBK corruption case needs careful investigation since he is a big fish. Wendell Miller, former President Sylvia of Liberia, has been seriously engaged with such nasty hardball politics over the last 30 years in Liberia. Fuma Morrissey, Ma Ellen does not want any other woman to become president of Liberia. Batam Kula said Dennis Jar focus on Liberia. Shoot is assertive. Shoot is assertive. That's the time the guest said that was an instruction. Flomo Livingstone, why is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf interfering in other country political affairs? Alice June, they're teaching my friend Dennis Jar English here today. Oh, Philip Sine, Dr. Sylvia Blyden, a very smart, well-spoken, courageous, and bold woman. If elected president of Sierra Leone someday, what will you do to change the status quo, move Sierra Leone forward, and empower the youth, especially young women of Sierra Leone? Pay Edward, attempting to ride the fame of EJS, Sylvia must learn to appreciate achievements and work on hers. Ben Grant, when Barack Obama went to Kenya and said Kenya should consider homosexual rights in their country, that wasn't seen as an instruction. It was urging them to consider this. Al Tobe, Ellen left office with lots of stains on corruption charges. This is another point that could hinder women who are fighting for leadership in the region amongst them. Ben Grant said, I believe Madame Sally gave her opinion and it is up to Sierra Leone to agree with her or not. You have a sovereign nation. Use your power of education to persuade your people. More and more question here. Joe Moju said the corruption charge is just an accusation in the court of public opinion. The auditors have audited the mayor and only found that she deviated from processes in disbursing funds. Mayor Sawyer has not been indicted for any corruption. And the last one here before you come in, Dr. Blyden, this is how Ellen Johnson Sirleaf paid back people who are loyal to her. Tons of individuals back home can be named. And Ben said, Dr. Sylvia, why are you the only one crying on this issue? Where are your comrades that think Madame Sirleaf is interfering in your national politics? There are a few questions there, Dr. Blyden, that you can respond to quickly.
Yes, so unfortunately, I was out of the studio when some of the questions were being read out. So I just had to grab a paper and pen just now. And I think I only picked up like 2 or 3 of the questions and the issues. I see that the one I just came in and I saw, there was someone talking about me wanting to ride on the something about wanting to ride on the former president's popularity or something like that. I saw that one. And then I saw another one where they are saying that the Freetown mayor has not been charged for corruption.
Yeah.
And I saw another one where someone is saying that when Barack Obama went to Kenya, he spoke about homosexuality, and it wasn't an instruction. So those are the three that I saw. I mean, I saw some of these that were not complimentary of the former President Johnson Sirleaf, but I'm not interested in those ones. But these three are the ones that I saw.
Sure.
With your permission, I can handle them.
Please.
First of all, I don't believe I'm riding on Madam Johnson Sirleaf's celebrity or popularity or whatever it is that the person is saying. On the contrary, I'm actually riding against someone who is very, very powerful, someone who is very, very influential. And so it takes somebody with a lot of courage to call out someone like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And I have the courage, I have the strength to be able to do that. If I can call out and challenge issues that of the manner that I have challenged in Sierra Leone, and if those people have followed me in Sierra Leone, they know that taking on issues that I firmly believe in, nothing intimidates me from that. So that's why I'm courageous enough to move publicly and point out where Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is breaching protocols to score cheap political points for politicians in my country. So I have the courage to do that. I have the courage to follow up on my convictions, and that's what I'm doing. It has nothing to do with riding. I don't see how challenging such a formidable figure like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is going to make me, is going to be an advantage to me. It's not. But what I am doing now is letting her know, and if she has a conscience, she would know she's been a head of state. She would know that she's crossed the line. And secondly, I don't mind that she's supporting the Freetown mayor. It's her choice. It's a bad choice as far as I'm concerned, but it is her choice. What I mind is her assertion in the middle of a corruption scandal. In fact, not just one, but several corruption scandals that this mayor has been embroiled in. In the middle of that, she comes forward and she tells us that a woman who is now being investigated by the legislative arm of government for acts of corruption is a national asset. That's my beef. That's where she crossed the line. For me, she's been pushing the cards, and she's been slowly losing her moral authority. She's been slowly losing her elder status. And that for me was the line. Secondly, you cannot compare whatever Obama would say in a generalized context about homosexuals to this specific issue of a woman who has been caught taking monument for the people of Freetown, having it bypassed into a secret bank account that nobody knew about until it leaked, taking money from donors and putting it into this secret bank account, then getting a complete foreigner from Britain to come and be in charge of this secret bank account. That's the scandal. And she's embroiled in this scandal as an individual, and there is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf running interference for this scandal. You cannot compare it to Obama's generalized comments about homosexuals. It's two different scenarios. I don't even see how they're similar. And finally, the questions that I saw, he said the last one was, where are your other people who should be speaking out? Where are they? Well, where are those who should have been speaking out when the mayor and the former president were caught in these acts that I am now speaking about? Where were they? They are there, but they're not speaking out because it is not all human beings who have the courage of their convictions to come out and publicly speak on them. Not all human beings. God made all of us in different ways. I was made with the genetic makeup, the strength of character to come forward and speak. Other people do not have the strength that I have. Other people do not have the courage that I have. So they would sit in corners and they would grumble. Or they would sit in corners and they would applaud me and say to me, Sylvia, thank you for being the voice of the voiceless. It doesn't mean that because they are not out here on this program, that means they don't feel as strongly as I do about this. They do. I can assure you they do. And that's why in English language, we have something that is called the silent majority. There's a reason for that terminology, the silent majority. Some of us are leaders, and so we can lead. Some of us are courageous, and so we can speak out. But the vast majority of human beings do not have the attributes to be leaders. So they cannot lead. They cannot speak out.
Okay.
I have the attributes. I am a leader, a proven leader too, so I can speak out.
One final comment here, this one from Samuel Sonda. Say, Dr. Blyden, you are aware that President Sylvia does not forgive, and she could punish you for calling her out.
I serve a powerful God, a very powerful God. And one thing I know is that the God that has brought me this far will not allow anybody to punish me unfairly. I have been through a lot, and I have succeeded to challenge a lot of issues. And I have succeeded because I have a powerful God that I serve. So nobody, no human being can intimidate me off something that I have the strength of conviction on. The God that has brought me this far will protect me from anybody who wants to stop me.
Thank you. We have a caller on the line, so let me take one call here, and we can.
All participants are muted, and they can unmute them.
All right, caller, your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Alex Jones, and I'm calling from Boston.
Speak a little louder, please.
I want to congratulate.
I cannot hear. I cannot hear.
Can you speak a little louder?
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
All right, can you hear him?
It's better a little bit, yes.
All right, Alex, please speak a little louder and let's go.
Yeah, I'm speaking at the top of my voice, so I don't know. But, anyways, maybe you could relay my comments if she's not hearing it right. But first of all, I must congratulate, Dr. Blyden. Dr. Blyden, please.
Blyden.
My pronunciation.
It's Blyden.
So for being very courageous, and to come out and articulate what is affecting Africa, especially African women today. African women do not speak up for themselves, and most of them are sycophants, just like the men. And for her to come out and challenge the corruption from people like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is admirable. And I think more of this, I want to congratulate Focus for going beyond our borders to bring such a dynamic lady. I listened to the conversation, and this lady should be president, in my opinion. And apologize to her for our silence, not being there for her when during the perilous time of violence against her. But as far as the Ellie Johnson thing, I think having any conversation concerning Ellie Johnson Sirleaf is a complete waste of time. And those who want to continue to join her caravan, they can go ahead. But this woman has destroyed Liberia economy. She's very corrupt, and we said it from 2007, and we'll continue to say it. And this is confirmation that other people can see it. So she should not be afraid of Ellie Johnson Sirleaf or anybody else. She should stand up for the right thing that she's doing. And at the end of the day, people will come up and see the truth. So thank you very much. Thank you, Focus. It's a very intelligent, informative program today, and I'm very moved by it. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you, Alice. Let me take 2 more callers here, and then we can close. This one is Mr. Kesselly Double.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja, and I want to say thank you to Doc for coming on the show and for doing what she's doing. You know, Lucky Dube said in his song, and I quote that those who stand for the right thing always stand alone. Unquote. Doc, thank you very much. You know, gone are those days where people will sit and say this leader was powerful and therefore that person is supreme, and that whatever they say, it should be something that should be law and gospel. But I'm telling you, it's not powerful as people think she is. You know, that was then. You know, and I really appreciate her for coming on and saying all that she's done, and she keeps doing. I want her to stick to her view, in as much as she believes that what she's doing is right. Stick to it, Doc. And like you said, the God you said is powerful, and that God is going to step you through. And not just that, people, viewers on this platform who are viewing her and worldwide are going to give you the fullest support, morally and even financially. And I can tell you that there are people you can make a change. You don't need thousands of people to come with you to make a change. You can make a change, and I want you to stick to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me take another caller here. Is Aliyu Kamara. Aliyu Samba Kamara, you are live.
Yeah. And Dr. Blyden will know exactly when you say Samba. You know who we are. We are chiefs from Darun Yema area. She understands. But let me just address something about a question I tried to ask, about a point I tried to make. When this guy was trying to elaborate and put too much emphasis on Dr. Blyden's Liberianness, I try to cut to the chase and let's just get to the point, because Sierra Leoneans are Liberians. That's what I was trying to tell him. There's no need for the overemphasis. We know that Sierra Leoneans are Liberians. And that's where my question is coming from to Dr. Blyden. Dr. Blyden, the society in Liberia, pretty much, with everything we can say, they're the same people. We have this border point, so many different borders. Like when you go to Genema, to the border with Bowater, you see one little twine rope crossing the little place, and there's somebody saying that's a border point between two people of the same group. I crossed over to Genema, I saw the black people, I saw the Mende people. I crossed back to Bowater, I saw the black people, I saw the Mende people. I've seen people cross from Bowater to go to Genema, I go to my brother, I go to the brother, they cross the water. I mean, why? I mean, do you have enough plan? Because I hope and I believe you will become president of Sierra Leone one day. Will you be willing in that Mano River Union to try to unite and form the United States instead of having all of this? Sierra Leone is about 27,000 square miles. Just a little strip. Can we just put this one family together and make it one country? Now, I also want to say this about you and the Ellen Johnson saga I would like to say. Ellen Sally, I know you said she's meddling into Sierra Leone local politics, but that is not how Ellen Sally is viewed in Africa. Ellen Sally is not viewed as a Liberian. She is viewed as the head of African Wikipedia. So she has influence that anyone can imagine. Is there a way for you guys to get together as daughter and mother and iron this out? Because me knowing Ellen Ford and her strength in Africa, Ellen would definitely dominate. So is there a way for us to really have this thing ironed out between a daughter and a mother? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aliyu. Okay, I'm taking just 2 callers now, and we'll bring Teddy Yankun. You are live. Quickly, please. 1 minute.
Yes. Thank you very much. This is Teddy Lion Yankun, calling from Fargo, North Dakota, chairman for operations for CDC North Dakota, CDC USA. Well, I'm very impressed. I'm 46 years old man now. I can remember far back when we were, little boys. Even our mothers, our aunties, they followed that, flamboyantness of Helen Johnson Sirleaf, and they thought that she would be somebody better. And with the Liberian people here, we always respect women, but she took advantage of what the Liberian people offer. Say, oh, we wanted a woman to come and rule. We always want to give women the chance. But Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, she one of the first lady who really tried to put a stigma on, women coming to power. What she did to us, she ruined our lives. She really ruined our lives, actually. And she's still doing the same thing. I am of a strong conviction, just the way I feel about President George Manuel Weah come to power. We know he's a godsend person. That's the same way I'm definitely feeling about Dr. Blyden. This lady is very, very, unique. I know the Sierra Leone people, they should be very, very honest to give this lady position.
Thank you.
To make her president. Because we want a real female advocate, and we know she don't have to say much. We know, but Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is just the opposite. And one thing I would like to say is that we understand the Nazis, Germans always have their representatives in the African countries to control us. And these are the things she's like a proxy, accomplishes in for these people. But we understand, Liberian people, let me just land on this, focus of Africa. One of my advice on the mistake the youth of Liberian people will make, that we have never organized ourselves to sue the United States government for sponsoring for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and up to this time, melting down our political, arena.
Thank you.
Must sue the United States government of popular uprising. That's the only way the rest of the American people will be fully and well about Liberia.
Thank you, Teddy.
The whole bicentennial stuff, maybe a charade, but unless we do this, that's the only way to be fully aware of on mainstream and media about us suing the United States government about the past.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me take a caller here from Sierra Leone. Caller, your name.
Hello, this is Mike Joseph Kano calling from Sierra Leone.
Hi, Mike Joseph Kano.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
I think what Dr. Blyden is trying to do, I think is the right thing. As African countries, we need to stand for accountability. I think that is exactly what Dr. Blyden is doing. I think we need to support her in a fight towards accountability and to see how we can create more strong leadership within Africa. I think we need to support her as a region and all our parts of the country, world, to make sure she stands for what is right. And I know her, she's a very hardworking woman, and she's had the integrity. And I know she can do more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for calling us all the way from Freetown, Sierra Leone. Let me take my last caller for the night, and that is Joe Moyo. Joe, you're live.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dennis, and thanks to Dr. Blyden for showing up. Look, when Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said that Yvonne Aki-Sawyer was a national asset, you cannot blame her. She's not the only one saying that. Yvonne Aki-Sawyer is the self-promoter. If you turn on YouTube and you go TED Talks, she's talking. She's globally, she is recognized because of what she did for Freetown, innovative measures, the dramatic development she has brought to Freetown. And if anything, our mayor in Liberia needs to take the Sierra Leone development that's being pushed by Yvonne Sawyer as a case study, or even go and see how she's doing it. So this Yvonne Aki-Sawyer she's not a villain, okay? What we're hearing, and I've read viewed a lot of her videos over the years, she's a self-promoter. So you can't blame the woman for promoting herself. And she's doing things that the global climate change community loves. Mm-hmm. And you ask any of those people out there, they would say, yeah, she's a national asset to Sierra Leone. Right. So I heard the other apparently CDC person that just came on.
Joe, forget the CDC person.
The United States government and all that crazy talk.
Joe.
But, Dr. Blyden, you understand.
Joe.
Dr. Blyden is not a self-promoter like Yvonne Sawyer. Now, most people don't know who Dr. Blyden is, but everybody knows Yvonne Aki-Sawyer and what she's doing for the city of Freetown.
Right, Joe, can you hear me?
Now, with regards to
Joe,
the corruption charge,
Joe,
those were charges brought within the Court of Public Opinion. She hasn't been indicted on anything.
Joe.
So we should, yes, go ahead.
All right. Her problem with the statement, she's saying Dr. President Sylvia is free to commend her, but instructing Sierra Leone to look at her as a national asset, that's the problem she's having. She
made no instruction. She just said she is a national asset.
She said she should.
I can say in broadcasting, Dennis Jai is a national asset for Liberia. What does that mean?
No, she said.
There is no currency.
No, she said.
It has no currency. It has no clout.
Hold on. She said the government of Sierra Leone should, supposed to, must see her as a national asset.
Just an aside comment. She
okay.
has no power to force Sierra Leone to make her a national asset.
All right. Thank you.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye. Dr. Blyden, we have a couple of callers. The last one, you heard Aliyu say, can you make Sierra Leone and Liberia one country when you become president of Sierra Leone? Teddy, is impressed. Also, Kesali Double say thank you. And also Alex. What's your response from our callers?
Let me start with the last caller. What I would say to the gentleman is that he's quite correct that self-promotion is what is at work here, because he needs to visit Freetown and see this transformation for himself. He needs to come and see if there's any transformation that is happening. And then when he's here, he can then make a decision about whether or not there is actual transformation or whether it's just self-promotion. But the issue that I have here, and let me say it again very clearly, it has to do with the timing. The timing of telling us who is a national asset is what I have a problem with. You cannot choose the time that the Freetown mayor has been hauled off to Parliament for questioning on corruption issues, that within 24 hours of that happening, you are on Twitter as a West African elder telling us that she should be seen as an asset. That's interference. You're trying to play with our minds because you have star power, you have a celebrity status as the former president, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, and highly connected elder of the world, not even West Africa. So you're playing with our minds by choosing the time that this Freetown mayor, the bad decision that you made, that you're not fighting to justify. This bad decision of yours is embarrassing you over and over again. If this bad decision is not making tribal slurs, she's been caught in corruption. So you have to defend your bad decision, and that's fine, I understand. But the timing of telling us that she should be treated as a national asset is what I have a problem with. The timing, it's not a coincidence, it's deliberate. And when that happens, you lose your moral standing. You lose your moral guarantor status. I mean, what platform would she be able to stand on now to talk to someone like me if there's an issue? There's none. Because I will not be able to take whatever she says now seriously. Because she's shown such tremendous bias, bad decision, and then fighting to sustain a bad decision. So to me, the timing is what I have a problem with. About whether Yvonne Aki-Sawyer is doing a good job in Freetown, I invite you to come to Freetown and see for yourself. I will not make any more comments other than that. Come and see for yourself. I have my opinions on that. But as far as I'm concerned, in this scenario, Yvonne Aki-Sawyer is certainly not a national asset. She's a corrupt woman. She's a tribal bigot. And if Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has made a bad decision that this is going to be my protege, she has to realize that her protege is a bad decision. Simple. Now, to the issue of whether if I become president of Sierra Leone by the grace of God, whether I would want to combine the countries and become one nation, I think the Africa Union model is already working on ensuring that, for example, now, as the gentleman pointed out, you go to Gendema, there's a hassle to cross through the Mano River Union Bridge. That shouldn't happen. If we work within the Africa Union and the ECOWAS protocols, we should be able to move freely amongst ourselves, even as we retain our so-called self-governance. And I say so-called self-governance because it's self-governance in name, but we are so beholden to some interests that are out there that we claim to be self-governing ourselves. But in reality, there are more major forces out there who are really dictating how we govern ourselves. But I think what we have to work on.
We're having some trouble there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia. We are in an exclusive interview with Dr. Sylvia Olayinka Blyden. She's the former Gender Minister, Republic of Sierra Leone. We're having some hiccup there with the video, so we take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have Dr. Blyden make her. Dr. Blyden?
Yes, I'm here. I don't know what happened. The screen went off, but I'm here now.
All right, good. But thank you so much. Just complete your thought, and then we can hear your concluding statements.
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. We're having some trouble with your video there, but go ahead and end your statement, and then we can ask you for your parting comments. We're still having some delay there. All right, let me put a few comments on the screen. For Boli Kroma, I respectfully agree with the color that reference to the commonalities of people of Liberia and Sierra Leone. That does not justify that Ma Ellen should directly get involved in Sierra Leone. Thanks, Dr. Blyden, for bringing this issue to the spotlight. Ambassador Joseph Kanu is watching from Sierra Leone. Mohammed Keita, we are weaponized as a people with global and national geographical acceptable norms of doing business. We must respect opposing views. Also say, this lady knows well, means well, and I respect your stability, the ability to come out today. Thank you. Dr. Kula said, Dr. Blyden, those of us who understand context and implication of EJS opinion on statement know exactly what you are saying. Few more comments here. Paul Poto, Ellen Johnson is corrupt, so she loves corrupt people. It's not a surprise. Thank Dr. Blyden for standing up against corruption, Queen Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Mohammed say having influence should be a reason to bully and stalk opposition who have legitimate views. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the comments. And let me give it 2 minutes for Dr. Blyden to be back to give her closing comments. We want to really thank you for watching tonight, and thank all of those who are going to even watch later via Twitter, YouTube, and other social media platforms. Focus on Liberia here. We educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Welcome back, Dr. Blyden. I know we're having some trouble there at the end, but go ahead and complete your thoughts. If you can hear me, can you hear me? Dr. Blyden, can you hear me? If you can hear me, go ahead, complete your thoughts, and then we can get your closing comments to end the broadcast. Again, thank you so much for taking up the time to be here with us and discuss issues affecting the sub-region, Sierra Leone, and also Liberia. Still having some trouble there with we want to say thank you so much again for watching. Hopefully, we're going to have Dr. Blyden back so as to continue the discussion and discuss other issues affecting the sub-region. Let's see. Dr. Blyden is we're still having trouble there. We're still having some trouble with the audio, with the video. Okay, she's finally out. So when she comes back, when Dr. Blyden comes back, we're going to be getting her closing comments. Going to be getting her closing comments here. Again, thank you so much for watching. I want to thank those who call. We want to thank those who took up their time to watch the show. Keep your comments coming here, and keep us here focused on Liberia. What we try to do here is to connect with the rest of Dr. Blyden. We have you. You're back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I've always been here, but the screen went off on your end. I don't know what happened. I was here, I was speaking, and then I just saw the screen went off.
Yeah, so sometimes technology, these things happen. So complete your thought there, and then we can get your closing comments.
Yes, I don't know where it went off. I was basically saying that we already have the African Union and the ECOWAS protocols that allows free movements. These are protocols that, if they are implemented well, and even the Mano River Union, we also have the MRU protocols that encourage unhindered movements between citizens and residents of the two countries. Now, if these protocols are properly implemented, we do not need to combine the two nations. If we just follow these protocols that encourage trade, free trade between the two countries, free movements between the two countries, then we can still self-govern as much as possible, and then still retain our quote-unquote sovereignty as sovereign nations.
Yeah, thank you.
The last question was, sorry?
No, I said thank you. I want you to conclude on this now. On what are your next steps? I know you called President Sirleaf out, and you're taking your party to court. There is still the city mayor there. There is some corruption. So regarding President Sirleaf, what would be your next steps?
There are no next steps. All I have done is to call out, and I believe that Liberians are listening to me. They would see the genuineness in the concerns that I have raised. And if they love her as much as she deserves to be loved and respected, they will call her and say, Mama, think about this. Your actions, they seem to be hurting other people in other countries. You might want to step back. You might want to tone down. You might want to, because it cannot be a gender issue. If it is a gender issue, she will not be promoting the former president, Anes Baikoroma, over those of us who took him to court. So it's not a gender issue. Because when I take the former president to court, and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf comes and comments on the case, comments on everything that the case is all about, she's commenting in his favor, it's not a gender issue. Clearly, it's not a gender issue. So somebody needs to talk to her. The reason why I went public is because that's the best way to get a situation like this to be handled. She's gone public to do subliminal messaging, and I've gone public to ask people to tell her to tone down the subliminal messaging and to tone down the interference, because it's complete interference in our local politics. Let her allow us to breathe. We want to breathe without Ellen Johnson's salve on our neck. Basically, that's the message.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blyden, for honoring our invitation to be here. We appreciate more highly that if you can come again, and we could discuss other issues. I know Liberia and Sierra Leone has so much in common in our local politics. We use Sierra Leone as an example, and then we see what's going on in our country. Our me opposition CPP is falling apart. Your opposition, which is the me opposition, there's trouble in it. You said the former president is holding that hostage, and the current president is like holding this has a bargaining chip. So there's so much to discuss. So we really hope to get you back. Give your closing comments, and then we can end the broadcast. Again, thank you so much for coming.
Well, I will close by first of all thanking you for having me on your program tonight. I appreciate it a lot, and certainly I don't mind. I'm a very opinionated person. I hold strong opinions. It's in my genes. You check my genetic makeup, that's me. My heritage shows somebody from a long line of people with strong opinions. So I have strong opinions, and I have the courage of my convictions to defend my opinions publicly. So I will certainly not mind speaking out on issues if I believe that these are issues that I should speak out on. You would certainly have me back on your show if I see it is worth being discussed. About what's the next steps for me politically, my greatest dream for now is to have Sierra Leone run as a democratic nation, where we have a functional opposition party holding the government of the day to task. That's for me is my greatest dream. If we can have a functional opposition in Sierra Leone, which can hold the government to task, I will be the happiest woman. Because you see, democracy is not just elections. Democracy is not just going to vote and getting a new president or changing the government of the day. Democracy is a constant process. It's a day-to-day process. It has to work. It has to function. The people have to understand that every single one of their rights that they deserve are being upheld. Their rights to food, their rights to education, their rights to health, their rights to the freedom of their speech, their rights to the freedom of their conscience. These are daily occurrences that make up what we call democracy. It's not just elections. And until my country can reach that point where we have a strong opposition in place that can hold whosoever is the government to task, to deliver for the people, to enjoy their democracy, we continue to have a problem. So my greatest dream for me, what next, is getting a functional democratic Sierra Leone. That's what I want. And the last word I would say to those who are listening, just trust God in whatever you're doing. Don't be scared of the size of the battle. Don't be scared of the size of the person's influence. If you believe and you have the courage of your convictions, go for it. I can quote a famous West African woman here. And this was a woman who said that if the size of your dreams do not scare you, then you don't have a dream that is big enough. So the size of your dreams should scare you. Don't be hesitant and put yourself in a comfort zone that, oh, they would say, I'm fighting this, I'm fighting that, I'm this, I'm that, so I should just slow down, I should tone down. No. So whoever is watching, especially the young girls, don't ever be intimidated because you believe that people would say you are fighting too many battles. If the size of your dreams do not scare you, then your dream is not big enough. That will be my last word.
Thank you so very much, and good luck in your ambition to become president of Sierra Leone. Definitely, if that happens, Focus on Liberia will be there to cover. And please come back here and make that announcement on Focus on Liberia, and we'll be glad to interview the president of Sierra Leone right here.
Let me just, if I can say something quickly.
Okay, sure.
I have the ambition to be president of Sierra Leone, but it is not a vaulting ambition. It's not a wild ambition. It's not something that is do or die. It's not something that I have to be president of Sierra Leone. If I become president of Sierra Leone, I would be one of the greatest ever presidents, but it's not a vaulting ambition. What is more of importance to me right now is a democratic country that functions and functions well for the people of Sierra Leone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we say amen to that. We want a democratic Sierra Leone, a democratic Liberia where we all can play a part and get employment based on merit. If there is if everybody is getting their fair share, all of us can take part, and that benefits all of us. On that note, I want to say thank you so much for coming, and thank you, our viewers, for watching. We never close a broadcast without ending with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." No matter what your point of view is, we are all Liberians, and we must do whatever it takes to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Enjoy your weekend, and God bless you.
We are Liberians.